I'm sorry, BOAK 6746 Langston Run, Canfield. In reference to 46, you would have a budget set up for the whole project, correct?
Yes.
So if it goes more than 10% over that budget, you have the right to reject. You would reject those bids, so the city would only be responsible for the max up to that difference of the 10%. Correct me if I'm right or wrong.
I'm not certain of that.
No.
It's not a city project.
No.
It's an ODOT project. It's being led by the Ag Department.
But still, with them, it's still the same thing. From any work I've done, it's always been with up to 10%.
So if the bids are more than 10%, you can reject.
Right.
That's what you're saying. I'm not
So
sure
that
that
liability the city would have is whatever the budget is up to the difference, which would be possibly 10%. So just trying to work numbers, that's what I'm familiar with.
Okay.
Okay, that's one. You work from there. Two, addressing the fire station. As of 3:30 this afternoon, the roof was kind of watertight, so it should be good for them to work on.
Okay, good.
I'll come back to number 8 when you're ready.
The only thing that will apply is if ODOT's bids come in 10% over this estimate.
Under recognition of persons assigned to speak before council, Mass, you step forward to the podium. State your name and address clearly for the record and keep your comments brief. Sample?
BOAK 6746. I just moved, so I'm talking about that. Thanks, someone. But anyway, I also am a property owner at 61 Barnstone, and we have several members of the Barnstone community here. And I thank you for extruding or sucking the water out of the fishing pond we had in the front. And it was up to almost 2 foot deep from what I'm understanding. It was getting quite large, so thank you very much for your help there. But that's part of the issue we've been addressing here in City Council is the developer has allowed a lot of non-conforming of the retention areas. And we're concerned down the road what's going to happen and the liability it brings it to the Villa Association and the cost, liability and everything else to us. And he's finished up his last villa, as you've been made aware of, and he's out. And I realize he's supposed to give a bond, but I don't know how that's going to work. For what, two-year performance bond he has to?
Well, it would be a maintenance bond, but that's for only for 2 years afterwards.
Yeah, but we're concerned about any and all of this, having lived on that, or being part of that street as well, what he's done. So I'm asking the city to step forward a little bit faster, further, because we're concerned about it. And item number 2 to that is the street. I know I've talked to you and I've talked to Mark, and you're so willing to try to help, but we have a developer that's totally unwilling to come forward and denies any responsibility to the street. And for us to maintain the street for the winter months, it's cost us about triple because it's solid ice and because all the construction equipment that was on that street, it's sunken down, as you know, 1.5 inches or more at the curb sides. So it's holding all the water. It can't get to the drain. The curb drains the drain. So it's cost us a lot more to try to plow it, salt it down, and everything like that. But it's also become a nice patch and a danger for the neighbors that do live on the street. Even when you're coming out, you could slide right onto 224. It's a major concern, and he is not willing to step forward. Now we have issues where there's some potholes. And, you know, it didn't get it by regular traffic. It got it by all the construction equipment that's in there. And we're just trying to see what the city's position is going to be, because this has started, we started almost a year ago. You sent your letters and been trying to chase him down, and it's like you indicated half an hour ago, his phone doesn't take voicemail. So therefore, we need to, where do we go from here, short of filing a lawsuit against somebody who should be responsible for it, because I think that's where we're trying to part the hairs and see which way we want to play this out.
Well, I think we shared at the last meeting the fact that the clock doesn't stop just because he's building his last house there. We still feel the city that he's obligated through the completion of this project. I think I shared with Catherine that the issues of the potholes, anything that develops between now and the time he paves that road, there may be some full depth pavement replacement that will have to take place at the time the road's paved. We hire MS Consultant as our inspector on the job. We run equipment over the road before it's paved to make sure there's no soft spots and bellies and things of that nature. So I mean, a lot of these things actually can't be taken care of this time of year. We've got some time to get his attention and get his commitment to get this done. But the biggest, most activity that we've had, or I've had with him, was on the retention basin. I did communicate with him about a month or so ago, and he said that he was waiting on the engineer. I guess we can, I don't know what pressure we can apply to him to expedite that process.
I'm going to see Mr. Russo this week, on Tuesday, I'm sorry, and I'm going to address both issues with him at that time.
And then,
I have
go ahead, sorry.
stated previously to council and to the Barnstone residents that he's under terms of an agreement with the city that requires him to complete that development in accordance with the specifications and plans that were submitted. We're going to hold him to that, just like we do any other developer. So that's our position. That's where we're at. I hope to see him at a meeting Tuesday, and I'll be able to report to Joe, and we can address council after that.
I think we started this dialogue in April, if I'm not mistaken, 21st or 22nd, and here we are X amount of months later, and we're dealing with the safety concern, as well as the additional cost for the condo association to pay for the additional icing and ponding of the street. And we just don't see anything happen because he's in total denial of everything there.
I mean, I don't think he's been in denial in terms of the retention.
The retention, he said it's good. And you in your letter, and I appreciate the letters, asking him for his engineering results. And we haven't gotten that back, have we?
No, we haven't. That's what he's waiting on, the engineer to provide evidence to us that it meets the specification.
Right.
And again, it's not uncommon practice for the second layer of asphalt to be put in until the development's at the point that it's at right now, and it's near completion or completed. That because again, with all the cement trucks and you don't want to put new asphalt down and have it damaged. So there's again, in the sense of the developer as well as the leniency of the city, I guess, there was no urgency to have that done until his heavy equipment was out of there. This spring, there would be no excuse or no reason to not address it. It would put it in a different state, I would believe.
Joe, I have a question. Out by 224, right there by the cemetery, is that a retention pond?
Yes, yeah, there's a small pond.
That's actually a retention pond, and all that water is gathering there.
Right, and there's I think it was a 4-inch or 6-inch outlet for it that I surmise is either crushed or plugged.
Yeah, because that was full. There was water laying there.
Are you sure that was supposed to be a retention or a swale? Because when I sent you the drawings on that, I thought it showed a swale going back through, never a retention pond in that front.
No, there was I could double check the plan. I'm pretty sure that was a smaller pond that was picking up some of the surface water, and then all of the downspout water was directed to the larger pond.
Where does the water go from that swell or retention pond in the front?
Without looking at the plans, I would surmise it was directed into the city system at some point near the
I think,
sidewalk.
Joe, it would be, it's a minor thing, but do you think, or Mark, when you see Mr. Russo, to ask him for a date by when he could report on the capacity of the, I understand he can't pave now, but if there's one way to move it forward, it might be to ask him for a promised date.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
I don't see how that could hurt. Right now, he said, I'm going to do it, but he doesn't say when. Maybe we ask him by when, and then he doesn't meet that.
Well, if we put some, I agree with you. I think if we put some guidelines to him, I'm not saying that he's not working with us, and I'm not saying we're not working with him, I'm not saying we're not working with you. I think we're all trying to get to the same place. It's just been slow. So I think if we can put maybe something together for him or have him come back with, so that come springtime we know, like, okay, within this week or so, he's going to pave, within this time, everything's almost kind of like what we did for Kirk Street, you know? Put something into place to where we can kind of keep them, so we can at least come back and give information back to Mr. Boak and other residents there to let them kind of know when this stuff's going to kind of be finished.
And I would add, if you would put it in writing, it's always good to have it in print, and then someone won't say, no, that isn't what I said. So you just hold it up and say, here, timeline and you say...
Well, and that's basically, what we've asked them for some written certification from an engineer that
Yeah.
Right.
it meets our specification.
I think that would help you, John, because then, to be more definitive.
Always does to have it, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
If the developer is allowing the sub-base of the street to deteriorate at this point, and it's technically his obligation to maintain that up until the time that the finished coat of asphalt's on there, is there any cause by way if the subdivision is maintaining that street, that they can recover their costs?
I don't know, I have to look at that. I don't know that. It strikes me like there should be, yeah. My gut is yes.
Right.
So we keep
Good
a good
point.
ledger.
Well, I appreciate all, we're just looking at the same thing for a timeline, because I don't think the winter months hold us back from making a decision if you're gonna pave or not pave, and be on someone's list to get it paved. I mean, that can be done now. Then they can get us a quote, or get him a quote, and we can say, okay, in March or April, when the weather breaks, we can get out there and do this. It's obviously too late this season.
Right, yeah, the plants are closed till
Oh, and
April.
it would be grateful for all of us to know this is what we look forward to happening, surely. But right now, we have no resolution. He's still not admitting to anybody he talks to in our development that he's going to accept responsibility to pay it, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, thank you very much, Council, thank you.
Thanks, sir.